let's dive into the overall matchup of the Notre Dame offense against the Stanford defense. Again, it's a tale of really, can't even say two halves. Well, yeah, two halves. I mean, this is a tale of two halves of the season. Notre Dame coming out of halftime against Cal has looked like a completely different team than they were the first 2.5 quarters of the season. I mean, you really could, because they had 7 points at halftime against Cal, came out and scored 17 points in the second half. Mm-hmm. And so if you'd have done that the whole game, that's 34 points against a pretty quality Cal defense. I mean, when they lost to Washington State last week, they got beat by 19. They only gave up 28 points. They lost because their offense couldn't do anything. Yeah. So, yes, this is a matchup where it's like, look, if you look at who Notre Dame has been the last half of the second half of what they've been of their team so far this year, Ryan, then sure. Yeah, this is a more an identity. And if you kind of look at them the last two games, 25.6 points per game, they rank 94th in the country. That's abysmal. It's abysmal. Yeah. The bright silver lining, and again, it's still not great, but it's better, is the last two games they've been a lot better. The last two games they're averaging 36.5 points per game. They have had missed opportunities for more that have to get better at. Their red zone defense took a big step back last week. They went into last week's matchup 10th in the nation in red zone touchdown percentage. Now they're 46 because they went 1 of 4 against BYU in touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So, get back to that. But that's an area where Stanford has been pretty good as well at not letting touchdowns. So this is if you can thrive there, it shows that you are good at that. You just had a rough week against BYU. You just had some missed opportunities against BYU. So to me, Ryan, this is going to be a very telling matchup because there's some weird, like this right here and this right here does not fit with this right here. Mm-hmm. I mean, Stanford ranks 27th in the country in third down and red zone touchdown defense, and they rank 30th in the country in third down offense or defense. Yet they rank 110th in scoring, 122nd in yards per play. Well, it tells me that they're just giving up a ton of big plays. We have not seen Notre Dame be a great big play offense. No. If you're going to be that team, that's why we're talking about using the receivers more in this game and then getting back to using the backs as well. There's some things you can do because this is not a very athletic Stanford linebacking core. Would you agree with that outside of Tristan Sinclair?
100%. Yep.
The great game for you, whereas BYU last week had a pretty athletic linebacker core that was good in coverage. That's what we talked about. So, we said I'd like to see the backs used more in the pass game, and I still would have, but I understood to a degree why you didn't, because you can't necessarily outrun this. I mean, the Stanford BYU receiver linebackers are experienced. They're going to be in good position. So what do? Okay, let's get our big tight end in matchups where they can't cover them anyway. Okay, right. I get it. This is a matchup where you have a great running back versus linebacker matchup, but you also have really good receiver versus safety and receiver versus corner matchup. So take advantage and scheme them up, because Stanford can be schemed up for big plays, as we've seen. And Notre Dame has not been a very big play offense. I think they've got I think Brian Smith put something on our board today. I'm going to look it up because he had something like they've had 10 plays of at least 30 yards all season, Notre Dame. That's it. And that's not a good number through 5 games. That's really not. Yeah, he said Notre Dame has had 11 plays of 30 or more. And so, yeah, you've got to be a bigger play offense. You have guys on your offense Renzo Styles can be a big play receiver. Braden Lindsey, we have seen in his career at Notre Dame, he can be a big play guy. Chris Tyree can be a big play guy. Now it's up to you against this defense. Okay, what are some things we can do to create bigger plays? Notre Dame has done a great job building their efficiency the last couple games, Ryan. Mm-hmm. Now we need to see them add explosiveness on top of that efficiency. And that's only going to come once Notre Dame proves to teams that their receivers, you have to prepare for their receivers, right? And that doesn't mean giving 75% of your snaps to Jaden Thomas and Matt Salerno. It just Jaden Thomas absolutely serves a role. We saw that last week. He can do things, but you've got to be able to use Lindsey more in the offense. You've got to be able to use Tobias more, Lorenzo more. Those guys have got to step up and be more big play guys. And hopefully this is the game where we can see that, Ryan. Because the third down offense for Notre Dame the last 2 weeks has been they were in the 100s coming out of the Cal game in third down offense. When they jumped way up to 52nd.
It's a nice ascension in a couple weeks, It's not too bad. It's going in the right direction.
It's pretty good. It's really good.
Brian, I was going to say, man, I feel like we're talking again we're evolving an identity, right? We talked about that on the defensive side of the football for Notre Dame, or I'm sorry, on the offensive side of the football. For this particular matchup in an over-encompassing way, right? Yes, Notre Dame needs to be more explosive. They need to create more big plays. But one thing that they can't sacrifice, to your points, is also the efficiency side of things, right? Like they've been a more efficient team. Because when I look at this Stanford defense, I look at these raw numbers. This is not an efficient defense. 6.5 yards per play. That is not efficient. You are inefficiently giving up yards on every play. And the turnovers gained, we didn't talk about that one, right? 130th right now. They've only forced 2 turnovers on defense right now. Notre Dame, in an efficient vacuum, right, is a team that is going to consistently gain X amount of yardage per play, and they are not going to shoot themselves in the foot, right? Like, let's not turn the football over a ton. Let's maintain the integrity of the offense, keep things moving. If you can do that and keep Stanford bad at what they're bad at right now, and also add explosive plays, then we're cooking, man. Then we're heading into a barometer where it's like, okay, this team's could be a pretty good team. Because right now, my opinion of the last 2 games, building off of it, is that, hey, can Notre Dame play this brand of football where it's bully ball and it's efficient, right? Can they do that? If you can, you're going to win some football games because you don't shoot yourselves in the foot. You keep yourselves on schedule. But if they can take the next step now and add some explosive plays on top of that efficiency, then that's when you're talking about them actually taking a nice step. Because if they stay the same that they've been the last 2 weeks, you're like, okay, that's good, man. That's a good offense, right? But if they take that next step now, that's where you see the growth. That's where you see the next level. And that's what you need to see, not only just to have a commanding victory over Stanford, but for the rest of the season, for the rest of Marcus Freeman's tenure, right? For Tommy Reese's sake, like for all those things, you need to start building upon that. If you can, then I feel good about the direction of Notre Dame. If it just stays the same, though, that's where you kind of, is there a lull? Is there a ceiling? What's the issue there? I think that Notre Dame has a chance to really push that in the right direction this weekend as well.